Calm, dry evening just north of Auckland. Irishman George Clancy is in charge. He was in charge of the opening game 2 weeks ago. While it remains dry, there were showers on the horizon as we pulled into the stadium, so fingers crossed that they remain on the horizon. Namibia in blue. Kick-off. South Africa, who travelled to Auckland after opening their World Cup with a couple of games in Wellington, playing from left to right in this first half. And this is Crescanda Botha, who opened the tournament with a try against Fiji. He's one of Namibia's brightest sparks, particularly in the backs. Never misses an opportunity to travel forward purposefully with the ball. Namibia's fourth appearance in a World Cup. They're yet to register a win. 19th in the rankings, sandwiched between Romania and Portugal, which gives you some idea of the task facing them against their African neighbours this evening. Here goes Bertus O'Callaghan. Seems like he might have come from Dublin, but he's a proud Namibian. Picked up by Tinus du Plessis, regular member of the back row that in recent years has been Namibia's best card, largely revolving around that man, Jacques Burger. South Africa's fullback Patrick Lambie forced to cover across and clear well downfield. Botha doing excellently and running forward with again some purpose. South Africa would have needed no warning of the threat that he poses. Scrum half Eugene Yankees goes digging for the ball. Fly half Teons Kotze showing some ambition, finding Dames. Started all three matches now. This is Kotze, again another lively operator, feeding Burger, tackled by Spies. There's a real muscular meeting of minds. Yankees, Kotze's kick charged down by Spies, playing the advantage, and Francois Hohard will be called back for the knock-on. Breathless start to the game. Phil Vickery is with us as ever. Good evening, Phil.
Good evening, Nicholas. Welcome everyone at home. What a wonderful start to the game. Namibians really setting their stall out early. Probably going down the route of if we don't give them the ball, they can't score. Pierre Spies there, using his power and pace. Wonderful player. Nearly getting his just rewards with a try. But you feel now the Namibians here with this scrum, the one area of the game you would back them to try and contain the box would be here.
Let's see. Willem Alberts at the tail of the box scrum that was going forward. Jacques Nervenhays rather thankfully got his hands on the ball, but then his mates were diving in off their feet, and that's a rather worrying start at a key set piece.
First set piece of the game, always vital in a test match. George Clancy realising South Africa's got the pressure. Actually a fantastic bit of work there from number 8. Nervenhays gets the ball out really well. Unfortunately just diving off if he can't seal the ball off like that. Gives the referee an easy opportunity. And now a chance for South Africa, early 3 points.
Namibia conceded 49 points against Fiji, 49 points against Samoa. Lots of areas of concern and some early ones here after a bright start, but it's staying with the chance to give South Africa the lead. Already enjoying his first World Cup. 28 points so far against Wales and Fiji. 3 early ones against Namibia. The man whose charge down kick eventually led to the points, Kotze, gets us back underway. And the man whose kick has South Africa head cleared along downfield. Here's Kotze again. Plays for Johannesburg University, one of a number who play their rugby across the border. Beautifully taken by Lambie. He's had a very confident start. Havana gets back to his feet rather gingerly as we have a look at Namibia's head coach Johan Dergaard for the first time. But it will be a Namibian scrum. Few within the Namibian camp talked about by Jacques Burger that we really haven't seen the best of them so far.
Wait for engage now.
Hoping that if they can hang on to the ball long enough, they can give South Africa some uncomfortable moments.
Crouch.
But there were concerns around the set piece, around their defence. They know where their weaknesses have been so far. This has been one of them. Yankees caught in possession, but it should still be Namibian possession. O'Callaghan, scrum half in reserve, finds Kutsa, taken again by Patrick Lambie. South Africa's next bright young star, certainly in the backs. Here's somebody who was, not so long ago, Skulk Burger, but he's had the ball ripped away as he went to the floor, lost it in the tackle. Now Piet van Zyl can perhaps bring Namibia forward. Dani van Veek, his centre partner, was there as well. Here goes Kutsa. This is O'Callaghan, second season as a test player, preferred this evening to Hugo Horn, who's on the bench. Burger runs underneath Willem Alberts. Whistled off the bench against Wales and Fiji, but Alberts starts this evening. And South Africa running through Houhard. This is Aplon. What a start this will be to his first World Cup. There's the danger. Gio Aplon marks his World Cup debut with his first World Cup try.
You can't help but think the Namibians trying to play a lot of rugby, but the fear, as always, turn the ball over in a key area. South Africa have got the power and the pace to finish those kind of opportunities. You have to feel for the Namibians, but South Africa starting well, trying to carry the ball. One out runners ripped. Great piece of play there. Ball out the back door. Easy try, pace to burn. Easy try for South Africa.
Beautifully done by Houhard in the tightest of spaces, and the stringy winger flying to the line. He's been around long enough. This is his 16th cap. He's had to be patient to play on rugby's greatest stage. Barely a breath of wind to bother Steyn this evening. Just crept inside the outside post. Plenty putting their hand up to question the champions' credentials after they scraped home against Wales in Wellington, but not so many after they clinically dispatched Fiji. And clinical is an early word that you might use here, Phil.
It must be soul-destroying for Namibians, staring down the barrel of 10 points already so early in the game. Not done a huge amount wrong, but this South African team looks very much up for this tonight.
Wonky click from Botha. Lambie feeds Frans Steyn. This is Houhard, taken on by Alberts. Runs through his opposite number, Tinus du Plessis, and
Tackler away. Tried to play that again. Tackler away.
And the desperation. The reason for the penalty was clearly explained by George Clancy.
William Alberts looks like a powerful man, doesn't he? Coming into the team, and as talked about beforehand, be loved by the South African supporters if he keeps playing like that. The Namibians now need to decide what to do at this line out. Do they compete for the ball, try and put pressure on John Smith's throw? Or do they stay on the floor and try and stop, I'm sure, what will be a South African drive?
If they do compete, they'll be competing against that man. Back is Botha. Cole and Esterhazy are their two giants, but they've decided to wait for the fight on the floor. Burger was in the middle of it, but South Africa rather sidestepped him. And this is a mighty drive. Smith thought about giving it to Houhard. In the end went on his own. Now it is Houhard to Steyn. The other Steyn, Fran Steyn, tried delicately to get the ball away, but the ball was
coming back for a penalty,
lost.
them all.
And we will come back for that collapsed maul as South Africa drove towards the Namibian line.
Namibians stayed on the floor to try and stop that drive. Unfortunately, they've got to generate a lot more power early. You cannot let this big South African pack get set and start rumbling, because they're going to destroy you.
As much as it's about timing at the engagement in the scrum, this is about the timing of the hit as soon as the Boks are on the floor.
You've got to energise the line out early. You cannot wait for them to get set.
Alberts brought to the floor. Houhard shoved out the way rather unceremoniously, and the ball needs to be scrapped for there, and it was by Houhard. O'Callaghan making life very difficult. That is brilliant play from the Namibian pack in general, and Bertus O'Callaghan in particular.
Great work from the Namibian pack to show that kind of resolve when the South African pack bearing down on you. Didn't give away silly penalties, stuck by their guns. Unfortunately, they find themselves just on their own 22, but one for the Namibian pack.
Nico Esterhuizen made with a choice here. He of the shaggy beard. Not what they wanted. Here goes Berger. Flings the long ball wide to the try scorer, Gio Aplon. He really does fizz when he gets going. Steyn to Smit. Smit rolls through Esterhuizen. South Africa are already up to the 22. Eugene Yankees charge through, playing the advantage. Morné Steyn will have the penalty. He's off in search of a try. Houhard, advantage is gone. Berger taken on again by Alberts, who's already got through a shed load of work. Houhard, space, drops the ball, and Dani van Fake hoped to capitalise, but ball went into touch, and they will come back for the line-out.
Good passage of play again from South Africa. Good footwork there from Morné Steyn. Staying on his feet, good presentation of the ball. One thing I would say about the South Africans, Francois Houhard will have a word with his forward. Some of their presentation to him at the base of that ruck has not been good.
Ball won by Rousseau. This is Houhard through a giant hole. Sounds by the peep on George Clancy's whistle, though, that celebrations are premature. Line out wasn't straight.
Your choice.
Nice right glance there too from George Clancy.
That's straight.
I think in truth Namibia are going to need all the help they can get this evening. Good old George has just given them a bit there.
A bit closer now, Green.
Let's have a look, let's have a look. Good set piece work, good lift. Wow, I think we've seen a lot worse this tournament, haven't we?
Pause, engage.
Houhard rightly frustrated. Namibia's scrum continues to be a problem. Number 23, by the way, is still Eugene Yankees. He's clearly had a shirt problem with the original one. One of those who plays his rugby abroad in Romania for Farul Constanta. This is his 30th cap, one of their more experienced players. Smith finds Spies, who drops it down quickly. Again, Alberts being used as the battering ram. Interesting to see how Alberts goes at 6 this evening, Phil. He's usually in 8, but the back rowers tell you that 6 and 8 are two positions that you can swap over relatively easily.
Yeah, I think it's certainly easier to slide in at number 6. You haven't got the technical job at the base of the scrum. Not I think that the South African scrum will be under any pressure this evening. But I know he's very highly thought of. Disappointing there from a South African point of view. A perfect opportunity to launch this powerful back line. Gone missing again.
And as a result of the power at the scrum, Alberts and his mates will have the next put in.
Finally got some reward, the South Africans. Really getting the power on. Not a particularly good hit, but John Smith, Steinkamp, Van der Linden really getting their weight through. The ball not being channeled back very well by the Namibians.
Crouch. Touch.
Quarter of an hour gone. 10-0. Namibia have at least stemmed the early flow of points. They have been in pretty much constant defence since, though. Pohard finds Lambie, but he knocks the ball on. Turns 21 a week before the final. The odds on him still being involved in this tournament have shortened considerably over the last week or so.
Frustrating again from South Africa. We talked during the week, can this South African team take off where it finished against Fiji, keeping that concentration against the lesser team with respect to the Namibians. And I have to say, it's been occasions already this evening where the coaches, I'm sure, will be very, very disappointed.
South Africa walloping Fiji 49-3 in the Cape Tin last weekend. This is interesting from Kutzer as Namibia try to launch something of their own with Van Zyl. Plays for Borgwan and is a chunky little operator in midfield. Takes a little bit to stop him. This is his partner in crime, Dani van Fake. Offered Namibia some consolation with their try against Samoa. Kutzer goes ballistic. Test for Lambie. Made sure that he wasn't being interfered with by Aplon. Steyn flings it wide to Berger. He has Habana in close pursuits, and Jacques Ferry, who we haven't seen much of, loses the ball in contact. And a thoughtful South African coaching box.
Frustrating again, isn't it? My only slight worry from the Namibian, you know, a great up and under. You've got a loose head prop chasing the kick is always a slight worry. Space on the outside. I know we talked about during the week, particularly watching the defensive session. The Namibians seem to get narrow very, very quickly. And I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities, particularly out wide for South Africa this evening. They can ill afford to keep wasting those opportunities.
Yes, the Namibians have been busy meeting and greeting this week. They opened the doors at the Silverdale Rugby Club just up the road in North Harbour. To the locals who wanted to come along. Fabulous club. Luke McAllister's all black shirts all over the walls. Namibia running it again through Van Zyl, taking it up to halfway. Yankees. Big charge from Tinus du Plessis. Yankees back to Kutzer, who has impressed in this tournament so far, just 4 moments like that.
Keep nudging your team forward. Hasn't got a huge amount around him, not much creativity outside of him, that's for sure. Keep that big burly forward pack moving. Hopefully get an opportunity, maybe get a penalty and a chance to get his team on the scoreboard if nothing else.
Back is Borta, flying without his regular co-pilot Victor Matfield this evening. Celebrating his 32nd birthday as well. Strap for the ball on the ground. Alberts digs it out. Little chip over the top by Frans Steyn. Dames needed to be aware of the danger, and he was, and the right wing came into good effect, but then there was
Number 8 just in front of the ball carrier.
Offside against the Namibians. Jacques Nervenhays just in front of the scampering Dani Dames. And that ends what was building up to be quite a promising move for them. Started in all 3 matches now. Plays his provincial rugby in South Africa for the Leopards in Potchefstroom. It's interesting to hear Francois before the match, Phil, saying that this is an opportunity for a number of players, perhaps like Dani Dames, to really put his hand up and say, I'm worth a contract, or I'm worth more.
Well, I think you have to say every time you take the field, it's an opportunity, and a lot of guys out there tonight will want to take it with both hands. They also like Francois' comment about scoring tries doesn't mean you're having a good game. I thought was interesting about Chantain Happy last weekend. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot of tries tonight.
Just the one so far. Gio Aplon early on, and we played a quarter of the match.
This is where now I want to see the South Africans energised, walking now to the line. I really want to see them take the game to the Namibians. John Smith, get the ball early, line out form, ball in, away. Really start to attack the Namibians when they want to rest.
Smith goes long, too long, looking for Rousseau. And Namibia can charge away with Tinus du Plessis.
Ball was knocked on the tackle, scrum.
The ball was knocked on, but he deserved better.
He's had a wonderful start to the game, hasn't he, Tinus du Plessis? But everything good about this Namibian team. He's probably hoping there after about 20 yards that he wouldn't have to go any further. Does really well, and just there, just loses it.
Got a reputation for developing big number sixes in Namibia. Do you remember, what's his name, Skolt van der Merwe from 2003, the lion tamer? He once headbutted a lion to get a baboon out of its mouth. Kind of story that when you hear once, you tend not to forget. Skolt's not with us this evening, but Tinus is, and he showed us what he can do. Picked up by his back row teammate, Jacques Nervenhays. You'd have had other things on your mind, Phil, in 2003, but that story amused us. South Africa winning the ball back. This is Berger, finds Rousseau, and this is Habana going for glory. The moment that Brian Habana becomes the most prolific gatherer of test tries in Springbok history. Jus van der Westhuizen has just been overtaken by Flying Brian.
Great to see Brian Habana back on the score sheet. 4 years ago in Paris, probably the superstar of South African rugby. Scoring a try to his confidence a world of good. The Namibians, I would question on that blindside defence. They had numbers, they just couldn't quite number off properly and give this man an opportunity. There, they had the numbers, needed to get on him. Good play from Schockberger. Great pass, though, you have to say. The pass beat the men. Wonderful skill all round.
Mornay Steyn for the extras. Steyn continues to kick well, but the story for the time being is all about Brian Habana. 39th test try, 15 months after his 38th. It's been a while in the waiting, but now he is top of the tree. And the legend that is Just is a branch below him. Here goes Spies. And straight over Piet van Sale. Berger again releasing them quickly. Habana off in pursuits, but he was tackled by Dani Dames. And the ball was lost in the tackle. Namibia will have the scrum. More than one or two will remember his debut against England in 2004. He came on late on in that match at Twickenham, but it was clear to see that he had very special feet, dancing feet.
Well, I think he's been an inspiration, hasn't he, for thousands of boys across the world and men, the way he's took the game to a whole new level. And at his best is a true superstar of the game.
Namibia's scrum continues to head in reverse. Kutzer, clever, linking up with Van Fake. Yankees. Here goes Berger, the Saracen. The man around whom most of the Namibians tend to gravitate. Here goes du Plessis again. That back row of Berger, du Plessis and Nervenhays really are the heart of this team. Van Sale needed to be tackled by Steyn, and he was just outside the 22. taken on by Johnny Redling-Hayes. Loose head prop, not very far. So Yankees eventually again to Duplessis.
Release him now.
This is Marius Visser. Ball went loose. Hanging on to those bits of possession in contact areas is easier said than done when you're facing South Africa. But it's what Namibia are finding a very tricky job at the moment. Ball beautifully taken by Steyn. Hohard, quick to use it. Mornay Steyn over the top. So Namibian was offside in front of the kicker.
Is number 1 within 10 metres of where the ball landed.
Number 1 is Johnny Redling-Hayes, and South Africa will have the penalty.
You do worry though, don't you? As ambitious as the Namibians have been, the work rate, Martinez Duplessis, can that continue for 80 minutes? Because he's carried and carried and carried. And there, I would question the little chip and kick over the top, trying to regain, with 4 South Africans there waiting. Kick it long, give your team an opportunity in the right areas of the field.
He won't struggle to find his way home, will he?
Obviously been to see your makeup artist, Nicholas.
Skulkberger is off to have that wound patched up. In the meantime, Francois Lowe is on as a temporary blood replacement. On as a blood replacement doesn't count as a World Cup cap, so he's still waiting officially for his first. The man is on his way to Bath at the end of this tournament. This is an area that Namibia have struggled to control, and we can see the try line coming into view. Alberts to Hohard to Aplon. Solid Namibian defence.
It was a great hit there from Bertus O'Callaghan. He's having none of that. Could be a play. No, it wasn't, sorry. It was Danny van Beek, I think. Hooker came in for the help at the end. Huge scrum now for Namibia. Good South African pressure again, ending with mistake.
Pause, engage.
They're desperate to get the ball out as quickly as they can.
By blue, green scrum.
But as hard as they try, they can't get it out quickly enough.
Marius Visser there, under huge amounts of pressure. Been there myself. It's a lonely, lonely place when that kind of power's coming through. Look on that tight head Namibian side, working with John Smith, working hard. Have to say, he'll be asking questions of his second rows.
I don't want it on his arm. I want
Mr. Hazer. Heinz Cole really need to knuckle down to help him out. Give them everything in this scrum.
Touch. Pause. Break it up. Both teams are down too early. Long pause and wait for the engage, as we agreed. Steady and balanced. Let's go.
Let the game go, nothing's hurt, get on with it.
The right-hand side of the scrum is where the pressure's coming from. On to Marius Visser from Gertrude Steenkamp.
Touch. Pause. Engage.
Once again, it's Visser whose head pops out of the top, and South African heads that drive towards the line. Another penalty. Visser's got big problems here.
He has got big problems. Needs to get lower, needs to try something different. To throw Steenkamp into the side. Played fantastically well last week in the loose, but he's formidable scrummager. His tight play is exceptional.
Tim, could you keep behind the bind here, please?
Visser's problem is he's lost too much weight. 4 years ago, he was the heftiest at the World Cup at 24 stones.
Down the middle again.
He's a trim 22 now, and he's being shoved all over the place.
Touch. Pause. Engage.
Scrum, in the end, collapses. once too often for George Clancy's liking, and inevitably it's a penalty try.
The right decision from the referee, left without much choice really. The Namibian front row under huge amounts of pressure. Jethro Steinkamp, John Smith, CJ van der Linden doing a fantastic job from the power from behind. Rousseau, Albert, Bakis Botha back in the team. All big, powerful men there driving through. You have to feel sorry for the Namibians. But just rewards for the South African front five. John Smith, great to see him back in the team. I'm really pleased he started tonight. Thought he led by example last week. He is the captain of this South African team and he played like one last week.
As Gareth said in the studio before the match, I think debate about whether it's going to be him or Bismarck du Plessis starting for the time being is over. Du Plessis rested this evening. Chilly boy Ralapelli is on the bench. By all accounts, Bismarck du Plessis is not a very happy camper. Springboks, 24 points to the good. 3 tries, Aplon, Habana, and then that penalty try. Confirmation of the blood bin reversal. Skulkberger's back on. Patrick Lambie finds a safe touch. Swim for the first time, playing for the under-20s. Great talent. Now the scrum's a bit of a mess. What can Nico Esterhazy and the Namibians do with the line out?
Oh no, I'm going to have that again. No early jumping at the front of the line out.
Weren't overly impressed with their line out
No
drills watching them train over the last couple of days.
No, I was disappointed, Nick. Seemed a lot of talking, lots of
Gap is huge, that's a metre.
hand waving around, not a lot of action.
He was flicked back in the vague direction of his mates by Esterhazy, but it was nowhere near clean enough, and Berger can bring the box away. This is Steyn. Again, playing in midfield today with Jean de Villiers still injured. Gio Aplon thought about taking the quick penalty. Had second thoughts. And if you can judge a team's mood purely from their demeanour at training sessions, it's a perilous occupation, I know, but South Africa do look like a happy bunch at the moment.
Well, fortunate enough for yourself to go and see them down in Wellington before the Wales game, and it didn't look a particularly happy camp. I could not believe the transformation in body language and attitude here yesterday.
That's not great from Smith. And now du Plessis to come away with it gratefully. Kutzer. He's done a lot of kicking. That's straight down the throat of Lambie. Here goes Spies. 45th cap this evening. Thoroughly enjoying his first World Cup. Perhaps not hitting the heights just yet, but at least it's involved, which is more than you can say 4 years on from missing out of the French encounter.
Off your feet, Lou. Off your feet.
Eugene Yankees. A couple of Namibians have played more tests. Johan Diergaard. Knows they're trying to push a barrel up a hill here.
George Clancy, the quiet word to Jacques Berger about saying working a little harder at the breakdown.
Beautifully taken by Spies. South Africans peeling round, but then holding on to the ball.
Ball wasn't there. He transferred the ball away very quickly.
They have to get the balance right between competing legally
Kicker.
and trying to stay on side with the referee. always difficult. You've got to play on the edge for sure, because this South African team will steamroller you. But you cannot afford to give away silly penalties, as England found out last weekend.
Just concerned there, you got into a poor position when you won the line out. Got a little bit ahead of the ball carrier.
That's good to hear. Just a little bit of warning. I would rather hear that than hear the whistle going all the time. Easterhazer has very often been the target. Very often he's not been found, and it, in the end, releases Hohard on a charging run towards the line. This is Steenkamp. Hohard again. CJ van der Linde provided the link to Berger. Being driven backwards, though. Steyn tackled. And van der Linde drove over the ball, but it simply drove the ball back towards the Namibians. Penalty taken quickly by Yankees. Runs over Alberts, which is something you won't always do. The ball was very nearly intercepted by Aplon. In the end, it found Bok, who's still going. Rolls off 1-2 South African tackles. He didn't roll off Aplon. As purposeful as Namibia have been all half. Kutsa. This is Visser, the prop. Kutsa again. Taken on by the fullback, Crisanda Botha. And then Dames was driven backwards. Botha has the ball, though. Touchline is not his friend. Once again, though, you get to the breakdown and Namibia lose control of the ball. Morné Steyn just happy to chip and charge. Van Zyl needs to be careful. Steyn was on him immediately, and he needs the help of Theons Kutsa. Doesn't get the greatest of distances. Springboks will have the line out on Namibia's 22.
Great work again from the Namibians. Really taking it to South Africa. Great hands, wonderful hands. Great line. Mr. Bok really driving his legs, not giving up, giving his team go forward, taking on the South Africans. John Smith needs to find his man.
Does find Spies. This is Steyn to Frans Steyn. Juggled with the ball, passed it on to Jacques Fourie. And South Africa have their bonus point try minutes away from half-time.
Made it look easy, didn't they? Good line out, John Smith finding his man. He's had a couple go astray this evening, which is unusual, I have to say. Straight down the middle of the park. Yeah, right at the back of the line out, good ball. Just enough to draw a defence. Great break, good footwork. Fantastic offload under the sticks. And you have to say, Jacques Fourie, easy try. The Namibians have given their all, but you cannot stop quality. And this South African team are beginning to show their quality more the game is going on.
Fourie, the scorer of one of half a dozen tries against Fiji. Looks this evening if South Africa will eclipse that figure. Steyn with the simplest of conversions. Once again, though, Phil, the moment of crisis for Namibia, way beyond this point, the point they lost the ball in contact going forward.
Yeah, it's just difficult, isn't it, for them? They're showing willingness, no lack of effort, no lack of heart and endeavour. Unfortunately, they just run out of men. There's people walking around on the field already, and the South Africans will prowl and they'll wait for that opportunity, and they'll hit you hard.
Here goes Aplon running into space. Blue shirts trying to close him down, and they eventually do. Tackle needed to be made by Jacques Nervenhays. Did enough to tip him up, but there are so many bottle green shirts involved here. There's an inevitability about what's coming, surely. Smith flings the ball back, and it was won by Van Zyl.
Go on back, guys, we've lost.
Always areas in a match where a coach will say, however well we played, we should have scored there, and that might be one of those moments for Peter de Villiers.
Yes, no, I think so. But goodness me, Gio Apollon really showing his skill. Great pace, good line movement, making the defensive line have to think. Great work by Namibia to get back.
Just one moment.
Unfortunately, John Smith trying to do the right thing and keeping the ball alive, but perhaps would have been better to have just recycled because there were numbers to burn on that left-hand side. But I have to say, Nick, times like this, when you see the pace of the game, particularly when it's broken up like that, as a front row forward, you're screaming for someone to kick the ball out. Give me a rest, please.
You were talking before the match, Phil, on the way here about how South Africa might approach it, whether they would be fully focused, knowing perhaps the paucity of the opposition, but we've not seen any sign of that in the opening 40 minutes.
No, not at all. I think we've seen some accuracy issues. Just a little bit of intensity at the breakdown, I think they could up. But I have to say, they look very dangerous. Mornay Steyn looks very relaxed out there, more so than I've seen him before.
Poor old Marius Visser has had a gruelling 40 minutes, and it looks as if he won't be out for the 41st after the half-time break. We've got Yanni de Toy, prop who turns 36 in a couple of weeks, as a replacement. But they're having to make that change earlier than expected, and in the end, the grunt and the grind and the hard work that Visser's had to put into the scrum has cost him his place, and that's de Toy.
Okay, wait for engage.
Enjoying his second World Cup, doubtless raising a cheer in Plymouth. Played for the Albion not so long ago. Now playing against the Box.
Let's see if he can do any better.
Touch. Pause. Engage. Stand on, we'll have it again.
Never easy as a front rower, coming straight on the field, straight into a scrum. Yes. Have you warmed up properly?
All right.
But having stretched off, you come into a scrum, look at little Steinkamp in the eyes and think, I've just seen what you've done to my mate.
Touch.
It wasn't nice.
Pause. Engage.
How hard is there to be a fifth try before the break for South Africa? Mornay Steyn linking up with his namesake France. How hard again. Back is Borta. Puts his shoulder to the wheel. How hard taken by Rousseau. One last big effort before the break from Namibia.
The collapse small, he's entitled to come through.
And if you're picking out players who've worked their socks off, Jacques Nervenhays will be one of them. But all the big moments have belonged to the Springboks. 4 tries to 0. The Battle of Africa, as we suspected, is a rather one-sided affair at the break. Half-time, South Africa 31, Namibia 0. John Smith was the first player back on the pitch, and we've just heard Peter de Villiers give an interview to a local television crew saying there are still plenty of odds and ends to tidy up in this second half. Points that Francois and Gareth were making with us at the break. Springboks know it's been far from the perfect performance just yet. The challenge for them is to retain that focus against opponents who are clearly there for the taking. This is Lambie. Here goes Habana, but
the pass was forward.
It was one of those moments we've been talking about. Lambie's forward pass to Habana.
Yeah, I think the coaches will be disappointed. You've got to get the balance between ambition and precision. And another classic example, it is on to do, but just hasn't quite happened for them. It is frustrating because the South Africans will want to build. Yes, they'll want to go out and be ambitious and be creative, but they've got to have that precision there to carry forward the momentum which they've got from this first half.
Namibia have 9 survivors from that Cape Town afternoon 4 years ago when they shipped 100 points and 15 tries to their African neighbours. None are left from the 142-0 defeat against Australia in Adelaide in 2003. Those 9 survivors from Cape Town will have been saying to themselves at the break, not again. Managed to keep it to the 4 tries in the first half. A little break because Bertus O'Callaghan needed some treatment is about to end. You'll notice that Yannick Atoy is on if you've just switched on with us here. Atoy replacing Marius Visser towards the end of the first half. Visser having been shoved upwards and backwards in equal measure in the first 40 by Guthrie Steenkamp.
Yannick Atoy has actually come on and done a super job for the Namibian team.
Dani van Beek taking the ball up with some purpose. Yankees finds Kutzer. And again, the ball given away in contact, this time to Steyn. Lambie comes in. Too hard. Rousseau quickly on, Habana just a little bit too quickly, and once again the handling errors.
First offence is the forward pass.
Yeah, I think one thing for me, particularly from the first half, has been disappointing from the South Africans, has been their urgency on resetting. And when I say that, after first, second phase, forwards in the middle of the park, not at the right depth, not coming onto the ball. Danny Rousseau there, giving another beautiful, his hands for such a big man, a superb.
The wonderfully named Hugo Horn, the hooker, is coming on. 34-year-old on for his 34th cap to replace the injured Bertus O'Callaghan. And Horn, therefore, becomes Namibia's most capped player. Raising a cup of tea in Rotherham. Or maybe something stronger, perhaps not at this time of the morning. Had a couple of seasons there not so long ago, and Hugo Horn slips into the middle of that front row.
Pause, engage. Sorry, we'll have it again. I want to see the binds up from both players. Bind up.
Yannick Atoy there, really getting a good hit on Guthrie Steenkamp, keeping the pressure on, really getting good leg drive, trying to get through the loose head prop, not allowing him to get underneath him and drive him back.
Touch. Pause, engage. Stand on line. Stand on the scrum line. Back on, back.
Doing so well. Getting himself back into a very good position to free the ball for the likes of Van Sale and then Crescanda Borta to drive the ball forward. Habana forced into defensive duty. Tinus du Plessis trying to do his best to win it back for Namibia, but there were too many green shirts there.
Into the side. Must come through the middle.
Been a number of shirt changes in the match so far. Danny Rousseau has changed his original number 5 shirt and he's now wearing 26 just to avoid any confusion at home. Now an area that needed improvement from John Smith, South African line-out. Goes to the front, back is Borta. Whispers that he was on his way home before the World Cup had even started. Days leading up to that game against Wales, he had an Achilles problem, but nothing wrong with him now. He's right back in the South African van. Alberts drawing the penalty from Namibia. Lambie, Habana, tried to kick and chase, might work for Aplon. Oh my word, the speed of Gio Aplon.
I'm not sure about that, Nick, I'm not sure.
Graham, can you hear me?
Yeah, I've got your job.
Is this a try, yes or no?
Try yes or no. Okay.
Simple enough question for England's Graham Hughes.
Okay, no problem.
Bryce Lawrence explaining why he couldn't tell.
Passing the buck, I think we'll call that.
Got my own doubts as well, Phil, but there was no doubting the pace with which Aplon ran onto this ball. Did Van Fake get there first, or was it Aplon?
Is he in control? Is it his hand?
George?
Yes?
Yeah, he not grounded and the ball was knocked forward by Green, so it'll be a scrum 5 blue ball.
Thank you. No try.
Graham Hughes does that job for a living every week back in the Premiership. There are none better. He doesn't need a second replay. Old Graham, he knew exactly what had happened, even if most of us here had no idea. Good hassling in the end from Dani Van Fake, because without him, Aplon, you suspect, would have scored.
Absolutely fantastic, not giving up. Desperation, just enough to put him off.
Not that the danger's gone, because it's a scrum 5 metres from their own line. Yankees would be best advised to get this away as quickly as possible, which is what he does. Doesn't find a great deal of distance, though, and South Africa will have the line out still deep inside Namibian territory.
And I think the Namibia coaches will be best advised to make sure they pick Yanni Dutoy from the start of the match next time.
Blue 11.
A super game in the tight since he's been on. Dealt with Guthrie Steinkamp.
Blue 11.
Conrad Murray is coming on, winger who plays for Montpellier in France. He's replacing Heine Bock.
Make sure the two of you are bound at the scrum, okay? Make sure you're both of you. I'm just telling you now, take the information, you can do with it what you want. Time back on.
Where's this going? Borta. Rousseau, perhaps. It is Borta. He delivers the ball into the arms of CJ Funderlinda. And then there were players in front of the ball.
George Clancy did have a word with Schalkberger earlier in the game and said, just be careful at the line-out time, don't get in front of the man with the ball. They have been warned.
Referees have been quite hot on that in this tournament. Notice more than usual them picking up on that offence.
Yeah, well, I think they made a statement early on, didn't they, in the competition. And the one thing I have been impressed with referees particularly is the communication. They have tried to help teams. And George Clancy this evening, I think, has carried that on. He's got a fab game.
Esteza gets the ball away like it's a hot coal. Habana. This is Lambie. Habana was tackled late by Berger. That's the reason for the advantage. Morné Steyn will drill Namibia back towards the 22. This is Teun's Kotza. Habana and Lambie not talking enough between each other. Habana eventually taking the responsibility. The night that he's overtaken Jus van der Westhuizen to move to the top of the try-scoring charts on his own. Dani Rousseau brought to ground eventually. Hohard to Steyn. This is Frans Steyn. Shorn of his locks at this World Cup. Got used to the shaggy look. Gone for the G.I. Joe look. This is Hohard, who's busied himself in the absence of Fourie du Preez this evening. Du Preez waits on the bench. Hohard again to Steyn.
No hands.
Warning was there. Hohard takes the penalty quickly, making the most of the fact that the Namibians within 10 metres of him couldn't tackle him. Hohard. Ball wide to Frans Steyn, and Steyn will jog it in. First try of the second half, 5th try of the match. Once again, it's Francois Steyn who's becoming a bit of a try-scoring monster at this World Cup.
Well, we talked about at half-time, didn't we? The South African team coming out and putting some pace on the game. And finally, the South African team, I was like, who hard, really tap and go. Let's get on with this. Let's put this team under some pressure. Good footwork, good awareness. Bacchus both, he's had a strong game today, hasn't he? Carried well. And there's one of 4 men who can score here. Brandstein, easy try. South Africa beginning to open up now.
Tries a full-back against Wales early on in Wellington, tries a centre against Fiji, tries a centre against Namibia. In the meantime, that is a shot of concern for South Africa. Bacchus Botha, who was carrying an Achilles injury into the tournament, is off. Not sure clearly whether it's the same injury, but Botha's gone as Steyn adds an extra couple of points to the Steyn try. Saw a shot of CJ van der Linde on the bench. Chilly boy Ralapelli is on, who is usually a hooker, so I wonder if John Smith is going to tight head where he's been learning the ropes over the last couple of years. Ought to say as well that replacing Bacchus Botha is the Bath-bound Francois Lowe. Meantime, this is Crusander Botha releasing the ball neatly for Nervenhays. Their new man, Conrad Moraes, was forced into touch eventually. That's Chilly boy Ralapelli on to play his first ever match at a World Cup. And this was the break from Crusander Botha, who remains a player worth keeping your eye on if you're a defender.
No, I think he's been a great spark, hasn't he, in the team tonight? Really tried. Looks like he's got some pace and skill to go with it.
Taken on by Yankees. Ralapelli it was working hard at the breakdown to try and win it back. Certainly slowed it down, and Berger flies in. Yankees to Kutsa. This is Piet van Zyl. Tackled by Francois Lowe, number 18. Open side who's swapping Newlands for the Rec this season. And this is Patrick Lambie. Taken by Kutsa. To Botha. It's not a bad kick, you know.
Beautifully weighted, wasn't it? Great take, one pass, good pass infield, looked up, assessed what was in front of him. End over end kick. Just nicely sliding it down into the South African 22. Can this forward pack put some pressure?
Taken time off from the construction company that he works with to be here. So many Namibians have taken unpaid leave to be part of this World Cup. Struggled to find a major sponsor, and as hard as hundreds of people continue to work for the game back home, it remains hard work, particularly when the likes of Willem Alberts are running at you with intent. Morne Steyn drills it long. Taken by Moraes. As Kutsa outside. Moraes fancies himself though, and he's taken play up to halfway. Berger. Outstanding player, outstanding man. Got his hands full here though. Van Fake was caught in possession. This is Van Zyl. Crusander Botha turning the ball back inside. Moraes is tackled. Kutsa. Habana read that kick and read it beautifully.
Wonderful.
Almost before Kutza had kicked that, Habana was rattling backwards to be in position.
Great piece of play from Brian Habana. Wonderful positioning, difficult on the move at the very last second, getting his foot the other side of the whitewash. But Namibia just beginning to run out of ideas.
Come on, you got to go to the sideline.
We saw Jacques Berger earlier on taking a kick when it wasn't on.
Come on, let's be quick here.
It's Kutza. Broke into the squad for the first time this summer. Gary Gold on the left, who'll be remembered from his time at London Irish. Peter de Villiers and Dick Muir, the Brains Trust.
4 blue substitution. Time still up, please.
Percy Montgomery, a rather overqualified water carrier these days, remains the Springboks record point scorer. TJ Van Lille is on, replacing Heinz Koll in the centre of the line out. Ralapelli now throwing the ball in and finding Spies accurately. Waltzing through the defence, Steyn, ball offloaded to Habana. Oh, the tackle was an important one from Dames. Danger still there, the ball's loose.
Time off.
John Smith
Graham, can you hear me?
thinks he might have got his mitts on that.
No, please.
Okay.
First instincts for me were it was a try. Good passage of play though from South Africa. Nice and simple, hard running lines, ball retention, forwards running onto the ball at pace, and as John Smith sneaked over for one.
Let's have a look. Who got their hands on the ball first? Was it number 23 Yankees or was it Smith? This is a tougher one for Graham Hughes.
He lost control of that ball, Nicholas.
George?
Yep.
It's Graham. Yep, he lost the ball just short of the line, so it'll be a scrum 5, blue ball.
Thank you. Knock on, scrum 5.
Put in your application to be a television match official after this World Cup,
Number
Philip.
8, substitution.
Beautifully read, but it was
Time off.
danger created by that burst from Frans Steyn.
Number 19, Rohan Kickbox, replacing number 8, Jack Niederhays.
He's looked very much at ease this evening, Frans Steyn, hasn't he? Very relaxed, good footwork, very comfortable there in the middle of the park.
Jack Nirvan-Hayes has worked as hard as anyone. He's just been replaced by Rowan Kitsoff in the Namibian back row. And they get the penalty.
Head and shoulders below the hips. Back you go.
Steyn does, of course, offer the option of playing in midfield. Used him as a fullback in the opening match against Wales. But because Jean de Villiers is still a little bit crook, as they say in these parts, Steyn continues to get the job. Saw Jean de Villiers running around at training yesterday, so it can't be long before he's back. South Africa wrap up the pool here against Samoa next weekend. They're won by Tinus du Plessis. Kutza. TJ Van Lille drives the ball out of the 22. Yankees hammers the ball towards the Bok 22. This is Lambie over the head of Habana and into touch. Esterhuizen remains the main man at the line-out for Namibia. This is Kutsa. Kitsov tackled. Yankees there quickly. This is Yanni de Toy. De Toy hung on to it in adversity.
Good work at the breakdown. Good line-out from Namibia, using movement to deceive the South African lifting pod. Getting outside channels, but just not quite finishing the job. Berger there, being a nuisance. Just enough time. South Africans get hands on. Easy decision.
Needs to quiet him down. I'll give you a second, all right?
You might say that one or two South Africans were falling over him as well, not making it easy to get the ball away, but the decision was eventually a South African one. Huhard releasing Steyn, who's becoming an increasing nuisance in midfield. Alberts takes the ball into the 22. Huhard again, Lambie on the bounce. Huhard to Spies, held up by Van Lille. Mornay Steyn, Berger swinging the ball around pleasantly. This is Fourie, already scored a try of his own this evening. Berger took that beautifully. Wasn't a sympathetic pass. John Smith was missed out. Steenkamp was the intended recipient. Oh, which way will Huhard go? Finds Steyn, cuts back in against the grain. Lambie again, playing with the advantage. Smith, Huhard. Got a sense of an inevitability about this. Low protecting the ball. Steyn, Berger, Rousseau. Huhard caught in a couple of minds there, and Rohan Kitsov tried to rob him of possession. Threat remains. Pelly forces the ball free for Smith. Spies.
You're an assist tackler. You're an assist tackler. It doesn't matter. Marcus here. Brought him to ground, so you must release.
Lots of pressure from South Africa. Continuity.
But it doesn't matter.
Forwards, backs. Ultimately, Namibia giving away a penalty again. I'm not sure how long George Clancy can keep saying advantage, advantage, hands off.
For De Preer, Rohan Pienaar and Wanda Young preparing to come on. Perhaps not before South Africa score another try. Line out from Relapelli, won by Rousseau. To stop the rolling South African maul. Jack Berger tries to bring it down, but not before Huhard gets it away to Steyn. The try that was coming does come, and before the reinforcements, a sixth South African try.
It was coming, wasn't it? Good pressure built by the South Africans, but there the line out functioning really well, getting the drive, control. The blind side opened up and they just put it away. Great work from the forwards. Huhard identifying on the blind side the space, and it's easy, it's far too easy. Namibia have given their all. They're trying to stop that drive, and then you have to deal with that. Made it look far too easy. South Africa moving through the gears.
It was a 3-on-1 that South Africa eventually engineered. And the man in the middle, Mornay Steyn, finished it off. If you've got him as your top World Cup point scorer at the moment, you'll be quite happy. Oh, that is a beautifully judged kick. What a perfect 60 seconds for Mornay Stain. He has the conversion to add to that try. This is familiar figure of Fourie de Prieur. This is Berger. Habana. Fourie. Hohard, who is still on. So I wonder whether he's stayed in, perhaps moved on to the wing. Habana has gone, so Hohard looks like he's switched to the flanks to allow de Prieur to come on at scrum half. We'll try and clear that up for you in a moment. Steenkamp and Frans Steen have also exited. And Tawawera and de Jong have come on. Oh, this is Spies. Too much power. Far too much power. How long has Wan de Jong been on the pitch? You can count it in seconds. What a World Cup fairy tale on his World Cup debut for young Wan de Jong.
Must be soul destroying for Namibia. Fresh players coming on, you've given your all. Easy, good interplay, good pass again, pass beating the man. Here's Spies, showing us what he can do. And an easy finish for Jacques Berger there at the end. Desperation in the dive for the tackle. He's not going to give up, but he's given his absolute all tonight, and I do feel for him, Nick.
Pienaar adds the conversion. Ulster's favourite South African. And when he scored this try that was set up by the rumbustious run of Pierre Spies, Wan de Jong had been on the pitch for all of 42 seconds. Berger. This is Pienaar. Rousseau had a hint of the forward about that, but Hohard won't mind. Fourie back to de Jong, surely not. The beast and Tawawera. Fourie de Prieur, South Africa are running riot here. John Smith, wide ball. Second try for the man who started it all right at the beginning of the match, Gio Aplon. The gates are wide open.
Just trying to think to myself as captain of Namibia, what can I say to my players? They're strolling in, they've given their all. You cannot fault them for effort, but I'm afraid this is a South African team with far too much power, far too much pace, desperation there. And what makes it for me? John Smith. What a beautiful pass off the left hand as well. One for the front row. Good lad.
Ruan Pienaar's not been on the pitch for long. He's already had to knock over a couple of conversions. 59-0. 8 tries. The 8th to that man, Aplon. You begin to look at South Africa's record ever World Cup win against Uruguay in Perth 8 years ago. 72-6 that day. You get fairly short odds on that being overtaken now. Kutsa. What do Namibia have to offer? Just starting to fall off the tackles, as you can forgive them for. It's been a long, long evening. Here they go again. This is Pienaar. Little chip over the defence. Hard chases for all his little legs are worth, and nearly got on the end of it. Concern as they might be on the face of the Namibian head coach, Johan Diergaard.
Come on, let's go. Hurry on. What's the champion to the north? Sorry, it's okay.
Taken again by Esther Hazer. Charged down by Mtawawira. Of a restructured South African front row, and Mtawawira loose head. John Smith's tight head. Chili Ralapelli in the middle now acting as hooker. Alberts rising highest.
I don't understand why they didn't compete for the ball in the previous line-out. You're 59-0 up.
Dupree, Berger feeds the ball onto Bath-bound Francois Lowe. Hard at pace through the defence. 9th try for the box. The smile on the face of Rassie Erasmus, replicating the smile on the faces of millions and millions of South Africans all around the world.
So they should be smiling. The line-out functioning well. Stolen ball, just simple round the corner, off the shoulder. Good line, good pace, good leg drive. Easy try.
Well, they've scored 4 tries in no time at all. Mornay Steyn, Joan de Jong, Gio Aplon, and now Francois Hougaard. Not so long ago it was just 38-0, now it's 66-0.
It's done, is it? Is it done? Just a sec, please, just a sec.
Namibian changes. Ryan de la Harpe is on. DJ Van Leeuw manages to hang on to the ball. De la Harpe is the scrum half now. Plays for Moseley in the championship back home. Birmingham's favourite Namibian. Martinez du Plessis deserves a medal after all he's gone through this evening.
His work rate has been phenomenal, hasn't it? But unfortunately there's not been enough around him.
Off your feet and then you play it with your hand as well.
Come on, George.
Back here, kicker.
Can't imagine you'd have found yourself in this position too often, but are there memories of moments like this in the Vickery memory banks?
Unfortunately, Nick, there are, yes. Very early on, I remember a game in Australia, England, 76-0 or 3. And you're chasing shadows, you don't know what to say, there's nothing you can say other than just to be able to look each other in the eye at the end of the game and know that you've given your all.
Ralapelli with the line out. Tapped back by Rousseau, picked up by Berger. Dupree finds Pienaar. This is de Jong. Some people don't score 2 tries in an entire World Cup career. Juan de Jong has got a couple and he's only been on for about 10 minutes.
I think he thinks Christmas has come early. Great finish though from young de Jong, really good line. Good forward momentum, forwards coming round the corner, just in out. Powers over. Just in out again, just enough deceit to throw Namibia's defence. He should be happy too.
Nice move.
You're watching me dance, Nick.
Ulster's player of the season last season adds another conversion. Suspect it won't be the last. Feared for Namibia it won't be the last before the conclusion of this game. De Preer. Goes Berger. Popped up in that position a number of times during the match. It wasn't his most sympathetic of passes. Go Namibia. Country only gained its independence from South Africa in 1990. Not so long ago, the British and Irish Lions tours used to stop off and play there in what was Southwest Africa. Now they have neighbours who are giving them a bit of a roasting here.
Make sure you keep it square and steady. I know the hit wasn't great. Keep it square and steady, okay? That's the only Larry. Crouch. Touch. Pause. Engage.
On to Awira, who didn't get the bind. Namibia had possession anyway. Flicked away by Van Fake, chipped through from Kotze. And then Hohards came in. Particularly like the attention he got from De La Harpe. I reckon there must be about 19-20,000 inside the North Harbour Stadium this evening. Bulk of them South African. Very few would begrudge Namibia a point of some description. De Preer, hammered by Darryl De La Harpe, brother of Ryan. Centre also summoned off the bench now. This is Berger.
Off his leg, no problem. Hands up!
He's had a powerful game tonight, hasn't he, Berger? Everything good about South Africa with his linking play, particularly coming around the corner.
Umto Awira takes on De La Harpe and runs by him. The prop
It's a penalty.
just out sprinted the scrum half.
Release before you get back to your feet.
Reminds me of my younger days, Nicholas.
Well, being overtaken by another prop. May have picked up over the PA that Willem Alberts has been voted the man of the match. Tireless display, being involved throughout. Habana gets the ball away neatly to Fourie. This is Hohard. Dancing one way, dancing the other. Lambie up in support, back to Hohard. Ralapelli couldn't hang on to it. Into the final 5 minutes. Let's talk about what's to come for South Africa, Phil, because Ireland's win against Australia has dramatically altered their World Cup landscape. They're contemplating a quarter-final now against the Wallabies in Wellington, perhaps a semi-final against the All Blacks in Auckland if they top the pool. They know they're going to have to play at their absolute best if they're to reach the final to defend their title now.
Well, I think you're right. It's playing rugby like this is absolutely sublime. I know the opposition or a lesser nation, but the South African team, as we've said before, when it plays to its potential, is pretty much unbeatable. And they've showed glimpses, particularly last week and this week, what they're capable of doing. Powerful scrum again, really turning the screw. Namibia have got nowhere to turn, and I'm liking a look at this South African team.
De Preer. So tackled. De Preer again. Smits going to play another full 80 minutes. Mtuawira tipped up by Berger. De Preer back to Hohard. Interesting to see De Preer and Hohard working in tandem. This is Pienaar, tackled by Kutzer. Mtuawira tackled by Horn. De Preer to Smit, sidesteps his way to the line. Rousseau scores. Is that to be the end of the deal?
What a great way to finish with a try there. Danny Rousseau's had a strong game tonight, carried. Great work in the line out. And John Smith, he's had another fantastic game. Please don't play him up prop, he's a hooker. But there, great hands, good line, kept the ball alive. Danny Rousseau.
A score that ensures South Africa a heading for a record World Cup walloping. They gave Uruguay a real beating 8 years ago in Perth. They're giving their neighbours an even bigger beating here in North Harbour this evening. Rousseau is on to enjoy the fun. Species' night is finally over, and it'll soon be over for Namibia as well. Horn made sure they hung on to possession. Van Zyl spins it wide to Kitsov. It's been a picture of Namibia's night, though, taking the ball into those close exchanges, very rarely winning it back. Pienaar. Box still full of running as we enter the final 60 seconds. Oof. Even Clancy's getting in on the act. Hohard, one sidestep and he'll be on his way. Hohard seals it for the box. They've never scored more in a World Cup. And as rough as their road to the final might be, they've found their wheels in the second half this evening.
It's been impressive because it's easy to get bogged down, let the game drift. But they've come out, they've kept going. Great work, he's had a super game tonight. Give the referee a hand off as well. Always makes you feel better, just a little bit of footwork. Namibia out on their feet, change of angle, so cruel. But a South African team which are rampant.
Well, they've now scored a dozen tries, and mercifully, referee George Clancy draws proceedings to a close. A quick word about South Africa. What have we learnt this evening, Phil?
Well, we've learnt that South Africa are playing some kind of rugby with some kind of intent. Yes, the opposition weren't fantastic, but this South African juggernaut is rolling, and the rest of the world need to be on their guard.
Yep, they've scored a dozen tries here this evening. They have the toughest of trips to the final at the end of next month, but this was a record World Cup win for the defending champions. South Africa 80